they all want relationships. The article JJ submitted is entitled, quote, "I've been single for 5 years and it's getting depressing," was written by Janelle Testa. Now, Janelle Testa appears to be every bit the hookup-obsessed female with a lack of self-awareness or control that the typical American woman tends to be. A quick stroll through her Instagram tells us all we need to know about her. Interestingly enough, she's written articles in the past about why she never put her life on hold for a man. Previously to that post, she wrote about why women should never chase men no matter how much they like them. Now, the reason I've pointed these out is because those articles contradict today's article. One day, she doesn't want to put her life on hold for a man and doesn't want to chase him. The next, she's depressed about being single for 5 years. This is how women are, gentlemen. They tell the world, I don't need a man. Men are dogs. Men are garbage. I bathe in male tears. I'm strong and independent. Girl power. But deep down, they know that the true measure of a woman is her ability to lock down a quality man. Miss Testa and every other writer at websites like Bold all have this bipolar cycle. One week, they're writing about how much they hate men and how unnecessary we are. Then the next week, they're depressed about being single and not being able to find a man because of their bad decisions. And so today, we've caught Janelle in her, I admit it, I really do need a man phase. What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and I help men just like you become the very best versions of themselves by giving you the raw and honest truth about the dating market. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. You can also sign up for text notifications when I go live, make announcements, offer discounts on courses, and much more. Just text TSR to 474747. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. Okay, let's get started here. The article starts, quote, "Being single doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong, but sometimes it feels that way. I haven't been in a long-term relationship for over 5 years, and sometimes I get in my head about it. I think about why that may be. In truth, it's just because my time for a relationship hasn't come yet." So right from the jump, she's in denial. The fact that she says she doesn't think she's doing anything wrong as good as tells us she knows that she's the problem. Now, she can't say that out loud because that's bad for her brand, and her followers would probably abandon ship. But deep down, she knows that the common denominator in all of her failed relationships is her. Then she says she gets in her head about it as if the thoughts she's thinking are invalid or some sort of overreaction. The way women characterize a valid concern that they don't want to give credence to is, I get in my head about it. As if to say, I'm making a big deal out of something that really isn't a big deal. Newsflash, Janelle, the fact that you haven't been in a relationship in 5 years means 4 things. Number 1, you've added dozens of dudes to your body count. Number 2, the men you've hooked up with don't find you worth dealing with outside of hooking up, which means number 3, you are only good for hooking up, which means number 4, this is a big deal, especially as a woman whose attraction has just dropped like a stone. Sweetheart, you're in your early 30s. Surely a man would have tried to commit to you in your late 20s, but the fact that you haven't been able to gain a man's commitment given the abundance of thirsty men out here is a you problem, and you know it. But hey, maybe you're just in your head about it, so let's not freak out just yet.
I've definitely grasped and learned that vulnerability is actually strength.
You problem, but the fact that you haven't been able to gain a man's commitment given the abundance of thirsty men out here is a you problem, and you know it. But hey, maybe you're just in your head about it, so let's not freak out just yet. Logically, she says, I know there's nothing wrong with me. She continues, when I really think about it, I know that I am not fundamentally broken or anything. There's nothing wrong with me or any massive improvements I need to make. I am a lovable person, she says, just as I am. Not being in a relationship doesn't change the fact that I'm a worthwhile human being. On my good days, I believe all of this, or at least I can try to tell myself it. Look, she can lie to herself and others about this all she wants to, but anyone who reads this knows that she is broken and cannot be fixed. Now, she says she's a lovable person, just as she is, but what she doesn't understand is that her definition of lovable is about so much more than just bedroom fun. Ladies, listen up because you really need to hear this. Just because a man wants to hook up with you does not mean he wants to commit to you. So many women mistake a man's desire to be intimate with her with a man's desire to commit to her. And this is why women never improve themselves to the point of making themselves worthy of commitment. Just because you're a lot of fun in bed does not mean you're girlfriend material. This is why women who have more tattoos than they have friends describe themselves as lovable, as though they're worthy of commitment just the way they are. Now, she is partially correct when she says that not being in a relationship doesn't mean she's not a worthwhile human being. There are plenty of girls out there who aren't worthy of commitment who do serve several useful roles. Number one, they provide men with easy bedroom fun, which keeps us relaxed. Number two, they show other females what not to do to find a man of value. And number three, they're a cautionary tale for young girls who contemplate following the feminist template. So she does provide value in her own way, but she doesn't feel this way because right there at the end, she admits that she only believes this on her good days, which means she knows she's lying to herself. And by the way, any female who uses the phrase "on my good days" is telling you in no uncertain term that she is likely on some sort of antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's been diagnosed with a mental illness. Don't get me wrong, she certainly might. But we have to understand that the female brain is simply not designed to withstand the mental and emotional toll that comes with sharing her body with dozens of men. And because of this, women who bounce from guy to guy suffer from depression and anxiety, which explains why 1 in 4 women are on either an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication. Likely both. In practice, I feel messed up. She continues, on many days, though, I do feel broken. I feel like I'm a huge mess who just doesn't deserve to have a nice relationship because of the person I am and the mistakes I've made. Man, my mind can be really cruel, she says. I'm my own worst critic, and I'm a harsh one. It's hard feeling like there's something really wrong with me. I'm working on combating these voices in my head, but sometimes it feels like an uphill battle. Now she's keeping it 100. On most days, she feels broken because she is broken. She's barely past 30 and already damaged beyond repair. She is a huge mess, and she knows she doesn't deserve to be in a nice relationship. You want to know why? Because good relationships are with men of value, and men of value don't commit to women who look or act like her, and she knows this. This is why she's depressed. And those mistakes she made, typical mistakes most American women make: lying, cheating, polygamy, hooking up with multiple guys in one day, trains, threesomes, you name it, she's made that mistake. She knows the things she's done that she used to characterize as being a free spirit are the things that will repel the men she really wants. She says she's her own worst critic in such a way that implies that she holds herself to a high standard. But what she's really telling us is that her mind won't shut up about telling her the truth about herself. Those voices in her head she's trying to combat, those voices are her conscience telling her, sweetheart, you've been a lost cause since number 300. And I'm not talking about Leonidas and his army. She doesn't want to believe this, but she does. And that's why this is an uphill battle for her. I've had relationships, she says, just shorter ones. She continues, it's not like I haven't had contact with another person romantically or sexually for 5 years. I've had plenty of encounters. I've even had some relationships here and there. They're just super short-lived. I think the longest was a whopping 6 weeks. This is part of a reason I get so upset about being single for so long, because I feel like I can't hold down a relationship. This is where she actually believes that we believe that because she's been single for 5 years, she must be living the life of a nun. It is beyond me why females think that by saying, I haven't been in a relationship in 3 years, that we think it means their legs have been snapped shut the entire time. Miss Testa reveals that she, and other women who use this phrase, assumes that we assume she hasn't hooked up with anybody during that time, which is exactly why she said, it's not like I haven't been intimate with anyone in 5 years. I've had plenty of encounters, she says. That means I've had plenty of bedroom fun. So if you've been in, quote, shorter relationships, then why are you telling us you've been single for 5 years? I know, because one-night stands, Miss Testa, and friends with benefits arrangements aren't relationships, and you know it. Girls know that if a man chooses to be in a relationship with her, it means they are useful to him outside of intimacy. This girl told us that she's been single for 5 years, which is obviously not good. But then she wants to save face by telling us, well, I've had relationships, just shorter ones. No, sweetheart. Getting plowed in the bathroom at the bar isn't a relationship. Sleeping with a guy for 2 weeks without ever finding out what his last name is isn't a relationship. Getting your back blown out by a Tinder date 48 minutes after you met isn't a relationship. Calling these relationships super short-lived doesn't fool anybody. And that 6-week relationship she talked about, getting your back blown out by a Tinder date 48 minutes after you met isn't a relationship. Calling these relationships super short-lived doesn't fool anybody. And that 6-week relationship she talked about was probably with a dude with a girlfriend that she knew about, but held out hope that he would leave his girlfriend for her, even though she knowingly played second fiddle to another woman. Again, Miss Testa, not a relationship. That was a man who simply used you to pass the time when his girlfriend was at work. Nothing more. 5 years, she says, is a long time for me not to be in a long-term relationship. She continues, some people are in LTRs back to back. I mean, it's none of my business what other people are doing, but it's hard not to compare. I've just been alone for a lot of 5 years and I haven't found the right person to settle down with yet. Oh, now she wants to blame men. Now she wants to play the my standards are so high, I just haven't found the right guy to settle down with card. This one's simple, guys. It's not that she hasn't found the right person. It's not that she's been telling these guys, sorry, you don't make the cut. No, baby girl, it's the other way around. You're not rejecting anybody. These guys are rejecting you. What this chick just said is the equivalent of,